You're brushing your teeth and suddenly you're somewhere else. You're winning an argument that never happened. You're finally saying the thing you never said. To your ex, your boss, your dad, that one friend who ghosted you. And for a second, it feels completely real. Your heart actually starts beating faster, your jaw tightens, your face changes, even though nobody else is there. Then you blink, and you're just standing there, toothbrush in your mouth, staring at nothing. If this sounds like you, stay with me, because what your brain is doing has a name, and once you understand it, you'll start catching yourself doing it in real time, and you'll never look at these imaginary conversations the same way again. Most people call this daydreaming, but it isn't. Daydreaming usually jumps from one random idea to another. This is different, this is focused, it's detailed. It's emotional. You're not just watching a movie. You're directing it, writing every line, playing every character. You already know exactly what they're going to say. And somehow you always know the perfect thing to say back. Sometimes you've replayed the exact same conversation 10, 20, maybe even 100 different times, changing one sentence, one reaction, one ending, hoping that somehow this version finally feels right. So here's the real question. Why would your brain spend so much energy creating conversations that are never actually going to happen? And here's the part almost nobody talks about. This habit isn't random, it isn't proof that you're broken, and it doesn't automatically mean you're overthinking. Scientists have actually identified the brain network that's most active when this happens. And once you know what it is, you'll begin noticing it everywhere. Almost like catching your own mind in the middle of directing another invisible movie. Real life never gives you a second draft. Someone says something rude to you, and your mind freezes hours later, while you're driving home, standing in the shower, or lying awake at 2 in the morning. The perfect comeback suddenly appears. Too late. Your brain hates unfinished moments. It hates loose ends, so instead of letting that moment disappear, it quietly rewinds the memory and gives you another chance. This time, you say everything perfectly. This isn't your imagination going out of control. It's your brain trying to finish something that never felt finished. Neuroscientists call the network behind this the default mode network, or simply the DMN. In 2001, neuroscientist Marcus Rachel and his team discovered something surprising. Even when your body is resting, your brain isn't. The moment your attention relaxes, the DMN becomes more active. Instead of focusing on the outside world, your brain turns inward, replaying memories, imagining future situations, building conversations, and quietly trying to make sense of your experiences. It's almost like your brain has its own private movie studio, working behind the scenes, even when you think you're doing nothing. For people who are highly imaginative, deep thinkers, highly sensitive, or perfectionists, this network can become especially active. It keeps pulling old memories, mixing them with things you wish you'd said, things you wish you'd done, and things you're afraid might happen tomorrow, until those pieces become one complete story, playing over and over again. Psychologists call part of this process counterfactual thinking, which simply means your brain keeps asking, what if I'd answered differently? What if I'd spoken sooner? What if I'd stayed quiet? What if I'd never sent that message? What if I'd walked away? Your brain keeps testing different versions of the past, not because it enjoys torturing you, but because it's searching for a lesson, something that might protect you the next time life puts you in a similar situation. But here's where it gets really interesting, because these imaginary conversations aren't actually about your ex or your boss or your parents or that friend who disappeared. They're about one single thing. One thing your brain wants more than almost anything else. And once you realize what that one thing is, you'll start seeing it hidden inside almost every fake conversation you've ever had. That one thing is control, because real life doesn't follow your script. You can't control what someone says. You can't control when they leave. You can't control your boss ignoring your email. You can't control someone reading your message. And never replying, you can't control traffic. Bad timing, misunderstandings, or people changing their minds. Real life is unpredictable. And that's exactly what makes it so exhausting. But inside your mind, everything changes. You're the director, the writer, and the main character. You decide who speaks. You decide who apologizes. You decide who finally understands you. You get the explanation. You get the apology. You get the respect. You get the last word. And for a few moments, it actually feels good. Almost like the pain finally makes sense. That's why these conversations can feel strangely comforting, even when they're about painful memories. Because your brain isn't trying to entertain you, it's trying to protect you. It's trying to give you something reality never did. Closure, certainty, or simply the feeling of finally being heard. If you've spent years feeling ignored, misunderstood, criticized, or emotionally invisible, your mind learns something. If the real world won't give you safety, it will create its own. And that's exactly what these conversations become. A place where nobody interrupts you, nobody laughs at you, nobody walks away, and nobody tells you your feelings don't matter. For a few minutes, your nervous system finally relaxes. Because inside that imagined world, everything ends the way you always wished it had. That's not weakness, it's survival. Your brain is using the fastest, cheapest way it knows to reduce emotional stress, without changing anything in the outside world. And for a little while, it works, which is exactly why it becomes a habit. But here's the part almost nobody warns you about. Your brain is incredibly powerful and sometimes a little too convincing. Research has shown that vividly imagining an experience can activate many of the same brain regions involved when we actually experience it, which means the emotions can feel surprisingly real, even when the event never happened. That's why you can spend 20 minutes imagining an argument and walk into the kitchen already irritated. Even though the other person hasn't done anything, you aren't reacting to reality anymore. You're reacting to a movie your own mind created. Or maybe you've imagined meeting someone over and over, the perfect first conversation, the perfect relationship, the perfect future. You've already written the entire story. Before the first chapter even begins, then real life finally happens. They reply with a short message. They cancel plans. They don't smile the way you imagined, and suddenly you're disappointed. Not because they did something terrible, but because reality refused to follow the script your imagination already wrote. The longer you stay inside those imagined conversations, the harder it becomes to accept real conversations. Because real people pause, they misunderstand you, they interrupt, they forget what they wanted to say. They aren't perfect, and neither are you. That's what makes real connection real. Here's something most people never notice. Every year spent winning imaginary arguments is an hour your confidence thinks you've already acted. Your brain starts confusing emotional relief with real progress. It feels like you've stood up for yourself, even though nothing outside your head actually changed. And over time, those imaginary victories can quietly replace the real conversations that would have changed your life. So if simply telling yourself, stop thinking about it, has never worked, don't worry, there's a reason. Because your brain doesn't stop creating thoughts just because you order it to. In fact, the harder you try not to think about something, the louder it often becomes. So, what actually works is completely different, and it's surprisingly simple. For small steps that help your brain let go without fighting against it. And the last one is often the one therapists recommend. When thoughts become so vivid, they start feeling more real than reality itself. The first step, get it out of your head. The next time you catch yourself writing another imaginary conversation, don't keep carrying it around. Open your notes app, grab a journal or even a piece of paper, and write it exactly as it played out. Every sentence, every emotion, every unfinished thought. Because your brain keeps replaying these scenes for one simple reason. It doesn't trust that the feeling has been stored. The moment you write it down, your brain gets a different message. I don't have to keep carrying this, it's safe, I can let it go. Step 2. Ask yourself one question: is this rehearsal or is this hiding? That single question changes everything. Sometimes your brain is preparing you. You're imagining saying no, because tomorrow you actually plan to say no. You're practicing a difficult conversation. Before it really happens, that's rehearsal. And rehearsal can be incredibly helpful. But sometimes you're imagining a conversation because it's easier than having it. You imagine telling someone how much they hurt you, but you never send the message. You imagine asking someone out, but you never make the call. You imagine standing up for yourself, but in real life, you stay silent. That's no longer rehearsal, that's hiding. One version prepares you for life, the other quietly replaces it. And only you can tell the difference. Step 3. Put a timer on it. Don't try to destroy your imagination. It's one of the most powerful tools your brain has. It's the reason humans invent, create, solve problems, and dream about a better future. The goal isn't to silence it. The goal is to stop letting it run your entire day. So give it boundaries, set a timer, 10 minutes. During those 10 minutes, let your mind create every scene it wants. Direct the movie, rewrite the ending, say everything you wish you'd said. But when the timer ends, the movie ends too. Stand up, move your body, and come back to the life that's actually happening. Step 4. Come back through your body. Because thoughts become weaker when your senses become stronger. If you suddenly realize you've spent the last 30 minutes lost inside another imaginary conversation, don't argue with your mind. Don't tell yourself to stop thinking. Instead, give your nervous system evidence. Feel your feet touching the floor. Take one slow breath. Notice the temperature in the room. Hold something cold, a glass of water, your phone, anything. Look around and name 5 things you can actually see. Your brain slowly realizes, I'm here, not there. This room is real. This moment is real. I don't have to keep living inside that imaginary one. Here's something worth remembering. Your imagination isn't your enemy. Some of those conversations helped you survive. They kept you company when loneliness felt unbearable. They gave you courage when nobody else believed in you. They let you cry when you didn't feel safe crying in front of anyone. They gave your pain somewhere to go, and there's nothing shameful about that. But those conversations were never meant to become your home. They were only meant to be a rehearsal room. Because no matter how perfect the scene becomes, no matter how many times you rewrite it, it can never replace one real conversation, one real apology, one real laugh, one real hug, one real moment. That wasn't written in advance. Your imagination can comfort you. It can protect you. It can even help you heal. But it can't live your life for you. The conversations inside your head may always feel safe, but the conversations that truly change your life are the ones you finally have out loud. So now I want to ask you something. What's the one fake conversation you've replayed more times than you can count? Tell me in the comments, because you might discover you're not the only one living the exact same rerun. And if you enjoy exploring the hidden psychology behind everyday behaviors, subscribe, because next time we're going even deeper, and trust me, you're going to see yourself all over again.